more thought out process with the graduation. And like I said, we was very appreciative before, but now we just like, can we do something else? Because as you can see, look at the weather now. The weather is like this now compared to, and it's supposed to rain all this weekend. So we were just trying to say, like, how are we going to do this drive-through graduation when it's raining and this weather is so unpredictable in May? We're trying to see, maybe wait till we can wait till a little further when it's hotter in late June, early July. I know Wayne just posted the canceling there, not to compare our district to there, but just using them as an example. Maybe they pushed their whole thing back into July, even their Nutter Center thing, because I guess they had already had that schedule. I don't know for sure, but they canceled their drive-through graduation, which was May 23rd, until a further notice, just so they can get more thought process to what needs to be done for the kids, because they know the kids have endured a lot, especially having their graduation taken away the way it did.
Agreed. And I think that's what prompted us to come together and make sure that, again, we're not saying that we are, expecting Trotwood to do something that is unlawful or that is unsafe or that is hurtful to anybody or putting anybody in danger. We understand that safety is the number one priority, but we also understand that this is a creative experience that these kids can experience together, because at the end of the day, if you ask any of them, the only primary thing they want is we want to celebrate each other. We want to be with each other. This is a brotherhood. They have literally grown up together, and they're like, we just feel like, we're just being pushed, especially when they're like the original graduation date wasn't even this early. You know what I'm saying? And so of course nobody knew, that this was coming. But again, the only thing we ask for is an opportunity to be creative in the way that we think about this, to be creative in the way that we are able to come together. We are literally willing to volunteer, whatever you need. And there's so many people in our community that are powerful people, that are connected to so many things, that are creative people. We just need the opportunity to come to the table, even if this is not a solution that you guys approve. Well, give us an opportunity to brainstorm, make brainstorming groups, make focus groups. You know what I'm saying? Sending out a message to say, we want your opinion. If they show up, they do. If they don't, they don't. We can say that we had an opportunity to come to the table and to be a part of the solution. So again, we're not coming to this as angry people. No. We're coming to this as saying, we know that you love our babies. These are all of our babies. We literally have become so close just over the past year. And we all know the stigma and the negative connotations that have come against Trotwood. What better way to bring everybody together to show the media, show other communities, be an example to say those are the people that came together, that saw this problem, and they didn't stop there and just say, well, we're going to pack up our stuff and go, and we just going, you need to be grateful for what you get. No, we expect more from them. So why not we accept more from us?
That's right.
Okay, Ms. Campbell, I believe you shared that there was someone else you wanted to.
Yes, Keontae,
Hughley, my twin son, one of the twin sons, my twin son. I'm trying to see. He said he couldn't. They're on hosted by iPhones. It should be on an iPhone. Or I'm thinking, let me text them to see. Okay. Let me see. I don't know how many.
And I see Big Mike. I see some of the other seniors on here. So again, if you guys are here and you want to speak, raise your hand, and this would be a great time again for you guys to be heard, because I know a lot of the seniors are working, and that's why we created the petition to say, we are all on one accord, and some community members have left messages. So I think we have a couple of seniors on here if you guys want to pop on, but I know Keontae Hughley definitely wanted to say something.
Yeah. Well, what we'll do is, in the essence of time, we hear you. We hear what you're saying. understand. My son graduated on Saturday from the University of Toledo, and it was a virtual graduation. It's not what any of us wanted. And it lasted all of 2 minutes, believe it or not. But what I want to do is I want to get some clarification, because I know when you and I talked, you shared with me that you had gotten some correspondence along the lines of what we were doing and the plans that we have in place for our seniors and our students and our families. But I want to make sure there's some clarification, because you said you didn't really get to talk to anybody directly. It was more or less phone calls, and that was the voice message as well as an email and a flyer that went out to all the parents.
Well, prior to this, before we sent that out, prior to this, there had been parents that have been trying to, and understandably, the board has not been working at full capacity, but they have been trying to connect with people to say, hey, we want to be heard. A lot of the seniors said, we said something. We're trying to call. We're trying to get through. We're trying to have our voice heard. You know, a lot of us have been trying to say, hey, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? What's going on here? You know, and then it being moved so quickly and so fast to this Saturday, we were like, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? Something drastic has to occur, because again, prior to this, there were phone calls, you know, there were parents. And again, a lot of the seniors are the ones that flooded. That's why I said, hold on, wait a minute. In order to be one voice, we need to create a petition. Anybody who feels this way, if you know, if even if you don't have, if you're not set in the same idea, you know what I'm saying? We just want to say, these are us, these signatures are us saying, can we press the pause button? That's all we want. And we were not able by phone, again, like you said, to get through and be heard so that we can come to the table like this.
Okay. I believe your student is on and wants to say a few words. Luke? And that would be Sean Hughley? Okay.
Okay, I think they because I'm texting them as we speak, trying to see which phone are they from.
Okay. Hello. Hello. You guys are up. Was there something that you wanted to share with us? We can see you.
Yeah, I think they're on mute.
Okay. Okay. Can you raise your hand so that we can unmute you? Okay. There we go. You can raise your hand. Perfect. Luke, you
How y'all doing? It's Keontae Hughley.
It's Keyshawn Hughley.
Michael Stevens.
We feel that the graduation should be pushed back because we worked hard this year for us to just graduate, and all the things that we went through to get to the graduation. For example, the tornado, we was there when everybody didn't have help. Us players and as students, we was there for others. And then we feel like the staff and everybody should be there for us when we should really have a graduation, because they are really opening up malls and parks and everything in the next 2 weeks, and we could just push it back. You feel me? And it's just, I feel like we should do that. We was there for others in the community. I think they should be there for us. And all the things that we did in our 4 years of winning state, I got 3 rings, winning state three times, community service, everything is just like we always been there for the community. Anytime. And we was there. And I feel like you guys should be there for us when we really want it.
Hello, my name is Keyshawn Hughley. I feel like you should give.
Hey guys, excuse me, 1 second, if you don't mind. Is there something going on in the background? Is there television on or anything like that? Because we can hear a lot of noise. If you could please turn that. Okay, thank you. We really appreciate it. We want to be able to hear you.
Are you okay now?
That's better. Thank you so much.
Well, how you doing? My name is Keyshawn Euclid, and I feel like we should have a graduation because all the time I've been at Trotwood, I've seen a lot of my friends graduate, have a good time, and see them go out with a bang with their friends. And right now, I feel like I cannot do that and see my best friend walk up there on the stage and congratulate him. I cannot see that. And like growing up with my brothers and all, we did everything together. Right now, I feel like we are separated, or we feel like y'all don't care about us. Us doing a drive-by, like I have never heard of that. And right now it's 2020, we the future, so we want to go out with something with a bang. We don't have our senior year. We won state. We did something for the community. We feel like the community and our board should give something back to us in the graduation. I mean, that's how I feel.
Mm-hmm. Man, I'm about to say, I just feel as if like our graduation was rushed for real. Basically that y'all wanted to get it out the way, and with the drive-through, that really hurt because we've been through so much. And like my brothers, I want to see everybody walk up on the stage I grew up with for real. And like not seeing that, it's gonna hurt for real. That's all I gotta say.
Okay. Well, we appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes. Okay. Next, we're gonna Ms. Campbell.
Yes.
Was there anyone else that you had that you wanted to speak?
No, ma'am. Those were the primary names that wanted to be heard tonight. Again, it's not that they don't have a voice or that they don't have anything to say. I think collectively, because the gentleman can say, I know my daughter, they stay on, they stay connected. I don't know how, but the whole class, they stay connected. So they feel, they share thoughts with each other. They share ideas with each other. They share things that could be going on. And then it's like, at the end of the day, it's like watching every time, again, we are reminded about this drive-by graduation. It's like literally watching a balloon deflate, every single time, because they are so hopeful. They have so many ideas. They have so many ways. They like, we get it. We understand. We get it. But again, we're not offering them an opportunity to be, to be collectively. So I know that, the gentleman can state, but I know that the class as a whole have similar feelings. I know my daughter does. She's at work. I know a lot of these seniors feel the same way. I know a lot of parents feel the same way. So I think that we collectively, we just wanted to come as one voice. Kelly?
And this is what I have to say. I don't know if the boys were speaking clear enough for you guys to understand, to get exactly where they're coming from. I get that. I mean, even with you, Miss Denise, I get that your daughter, had to, graduate virtually too. But I was just saying with these boys, and with not just our boys, but with the class of Trotwood, I think it's like 200 students. And I feel like if we can possibly just push back the date so we can come as one, a community and everything, and work together, because you just do not know how many parents, how many students, how many people that support the community and live out here are willing to do whatever necessary. If it's just coming to us out there marking X's on that football field, wherever we decide to do it, so it can be a proper social distancing, so everyone can be safe in doing so. Everybody's just whatever it takes. Just give them more. Because like I said, this class has less class than any other class, any other district. So it can be done. It's just about us putting our heads together, brainstorming, and giving us time. It has to take time, preparation to do so. And we all know that at this point in time, there's no real rush for these kids to get it done, because we don't even know if they're going off to college, for right now. So, and like I said, and by the rain, and well, not just the rain, but the weather being so unpredictable. And here we are 2 days away from this drive-through graduation. It's going to be storming, and I feel like they already have endured so much, just this class alone, especially our Trotwood class. We can push the date away.
Yeah, Miss Kelly, we understand, and we hear you. We do. I'm going to open it up for the superintendent to speak on where we are as a district, because there are some some guidelines that we are governed by. And
Right.
then I'm also going to allow the principal, Mr. McCray, to really kind of share with you guys what this thing looks like, because none of us have ever done this before. This is new. This is a new norm for the time that we're living in, because this district's number one priority is safety. Safety for our students, safety for our parents, safety for our staff, and safety for anyone that, again, that would be a part of anything that we would do. I mean, that's the number one priority for us. But again, I wanted you to understand, we wanted to hear what you had to say. And also we did get an outline in which each and every board member has had the opportunity to look over, and there will be some comments. Coming the way that you guys have today gives us a different insight. And you said some things that, again, it is pulling at all of our heartstrings. None of us could have ever imagined that we would even be having this conversation. Matter of fact, that we would even be on a computer having a meeting. So given that, I want you to understand what all this looks like, because I don't know if that's been clarified for you. Mr. Howard, will you please share?
I'll defer the details to Mr. McCray.
Okay.
Here shortly, but real quick, President Moore, I want to be very, very frank and let everybody know that we understand what your concerns and what your issues, your complaints, your heartfelt stories. We understand that, and this is not anything that any of us wanted to do. Any of us. I meet with the county superintendents every week on Thursday, and we are all going through the same thing. All of the districts are doing similar things with regards to what their graduations are. Now, there are a few districts that have decided to wait until July. We cannot open the facilities until June 30th. June 30th, schools are closed until June 30th. There are some districts that have decided to wait until later in July, with the understanding that they're taking a gamble that there may not be an ability for them to have a ceremony that late into the summer. And with that being said, we posted 2 pieces of documentation on our website. We referred to them in the letter that we sent home to you guys. One from the Ohio Department of Education and one from the Dayton Montgomery County Public Health. We are following the recommended guidelines from those 2 entities. We did not come up with these. We did not create these. This is the information that they have given us and told us these are the things that you need to do in order to celebrate your kids. Now, unfortunately, we could, and Mr. McCray can speak to that a little bit, we could wait until the end of July and see if we could have a graduation ceremony, but there is no guarantee. There's no guarantee. The University of Dayton, Wright State, all of these big entities have said, we don't know. And especially through the month of June, nothing can take place through the month of June. The facilities, the school facilities, June 30th, they're closed until June 30th, unless you have a small in-person graduation with only 10 people, including the folks in your party and the administration in there. So we're talking about three kids, a student, maybe 2 parents, 2 or 3 parents. So what Mr. McCray and the team put together is an opportunity for as many people as we could, adhering to the guidelines that have been laid out by the state of Ohio. Because we're talking about having something on the football field, but we also have to understand, for us, anything over 10 people is not acceptable. It's considered a mass gathering. And we cannot just supersede the guidance that has been expressed to us. And again, we understand your concerns. We understand what you're going through. I had a daughter graduate last year, and I couldn't imagine what you guys are going through. But please understand, this is not the Trotwood-Madison City School Board. This is not the superintendent. This is not Mr. McCray. This is the state of Ohio and Montgomery County Public Health. They have given us 3 options, and they're clearly expressed on the information that is posted on the website and that we've shared vigorously. And Our combination of these three options are what we felt what we felt we could do best to celebrate our kids. And with that being said, before I turn it over to Mr. McCray, if you look at what other folks are doing, Northmont, something similar, the large district, Centerville, completely virtual, Kettering, Fairmont, completely virtual, still have a date in July. Dayton Public Schools, they're doing a drive-through. So I just don't want you guys to feel like we are isolated in our decision, and the board has not considered all of the parameters and guidelines that have been laid out. We are following the guidance of the Ohio Department of Education and Montgomery County Public Health. This was not our choice. This was not our decision. Now, we can, and Mr. McCray is going to speak to it here in a second, we can push the date back with the understanding that if we move into the end of July, where most people are booking venues, there may be a possibility we don't celebrate our young people at all for the class of 2020. Mr. McCray, why don't you speak to the process a little bit?
Okay, good evening, everyone. Once we found out that we were going to go through this pandemic in this situation, there were three things that I knew I had to deal with. First, make sure our students received an education while they was at home. The next thing was, what do I do about prom? And the third thing, what do I do about the graduation? Once we got information how long the order was going to be in place, we waited to the first week of April to cancel prom. Then my concentration went on to how do we plan and get ready for graduation. So I proposed 4 options to the superintendent. The first option, the one I wish we could do, keep graduation the same, May the 19th at UD at 7 o'clock was the first option. The second option was to push it back. So we contact UD. We asked them, could we have a date in June? And then that date was June 22nd. And then a date in July, just in case it went further, and that was July the 13th. They said they could not guarantee that, but they are aware of our situation. The third option was to do it at the football field because we've done it before at the football field back in 2014. That was option 3. But we were going to have to limit it to 2 to 3 people just to make sure the distance with the number of kids that we thought we were going to have graduate at the time. We were worrying about what I'm trying to say, the social distance of managing that and the people from the parking lot to the stadium to that. And then the fourth one, something that we don't know anything about, was a virtual. So once the governor came out with the order after May 1st, 2 of the 3 of them options were kind of off the table. So then we start planning for the virtual. We was already planning for the virtual graduation, but we looked at several virtual graduations across the country. We looked at a couple of college virtual graduation. We looked at a high school virtual graduation down in Florida. I contacted Mrs. Allen's sister in Chicago, that's the principal at Whitney Young, asked her how she was trying to plan her virtual graduation. I spoke to several people in California that I know from workshops and a couple of people in South Carolina and Florida to get their viewpoint of how did they see a virtual graduation. Also, me and Mr. Howard did a little short workshop with Johnston when they presented us with a virtual platform, and it was roughly about 250 principals from Southwest Ohio on there. So everybody was getting ready for this in early mid-April. Some of the drive-through is really not a drive-through graduation. It's a combination of a virtual graduation with a drive-through diploma pickup. Okay. So like Mr. Howard explained earlier with Northmont, they're just walking on stage to get their diploma. They're going to take a picture that's going to be uploaded to the virtual graduation. We did not want to do a total virtual graduation because that means the kids they get their caps and gown, they take a picture and they send it in to us and we put it on a virtual graduation platform. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to give them some form of feeling of graduation. So we had discussions back and forth about doing a drive-through situation. We first had it down to one car. We said maybe that's not enough. I didn't want to just do 3 people in an auditorium. I just wanted to get as many people that could see their son and daughter graduate. I mean, not graduate, but receive their diploma. So I decided it would be better we decided it would be better to do it outside, rent a stage like they would go on stage if they was at UD or Nutter Center, walk on stage, me there with my mask on. Their family could pull up right on the curb. The stage is going to be right outside, maybe 20 feet away. They're going to walk on stage. I'm going to give them their diploma. They're going to take a picture that we're going to upload to the virtual graduation. Okay, this is really, Saturday is about receiving your diploma. Instead of mailing it to you, we want to at least give it to you like you would if you was at a regular graduation. And we wanted to upload that into the virtual graduation. To be truthful, I have a lot of feelings about this class. I have a great relationship with the student. I truly understand how people feel. But we looked at every situation. We made adjustment to the virtual graduation. I know Springboro, the kids should take a picture and send it in and it'd be a part of the virtual graduation. We didn't want to do that as a graduation committee. We wanted to at least give these kids an opportunity to still walk on that stage like they would on May the 19th. The reason why we decided to do it on a Saturday, the only reason we decided to do it on Saturday for we can make sure that parents did not have to work, they didn't have to rush. I did look at the weather for the last 2 weeks. I did speak to Dante Jones today at 4:00 from Channel 7. Personally, he told me that, yes, it's 20% chance of rain, but that's from Dayton to Cincinnati. And he believes that most of the rain will happen in south of town. He said it might be a spot shower here or there, but he believes most of that will start south of town because I've been worried about the weather too. I asked him, I told him, do you think we should go ahead with the ceremony? He said, looking at the weather, I would tell you to go ahead with the ceremony. And I told him what time it was. He said it's going to be hot and muggy. So he said it's going to be hot and muggy. So, but yeah, I was worried about the weather. I'm always worried about the weather in May. That's why I would love to do graduation on the football field. But May is always bad. But we did take time. We did have conversations. We did make adjustments to it. We just didn't want the kids to pull up and open their window and hand them a diploma. That's what most people are doing. We want them still to have the opportunity to walk on stage, to be seen, where we can take that picture and upload it. We also going to ask them to turn their tassel when they're at the top of the stage. Their parents will stay in the car. We do have a photographer that will be there to take a picture and make that available to the families. We really put some thought process in this. And to be truthful, I prefer to have a graduation May the 19th at 7 o'clock at UD. This is all new for us. It's a lot of legwork, a lot of conversation, a lot of research on what other people are doing, and trying to fit what's best for our community and make sure these kids get some recognition. But what we are really concerned about, if the governor extend the thing past the 30th, they don't get anything. And then we would have to just mail it. We wouldn't even get the virtual piece. We wouldn't even get the diploma delivery if we just sit back and wait. Them dates for UD are still in effect. I just think we should do something. We should not do nothing and wait till the governor give us an answer. And then if it's yeah, then we might can do something. If it's no, the kids don't get anything.
And Mr. McCray, I want to add that this afternoon, the county superintendents met with the commissioner of Dayton Montgomery County Public Health, Jeff Cooper. and he was on a conference call with all of the county superintendents, and his recommendation, strictly indirectly, was get your celebration of your kids out of the way. Do it as soon as you can, because they are forecasting an additional spike of COVID in the late to midsummer, and they just don't understand enough about the virus or understand what this will look like. He was very, very diligent and direct about what school may look like, how school may look different in the fall. He was very direct about the apprehension of people just going back to normal, because there's so much unknown about this virus and there's so much information that we are still collecting. And I want to be honest, this was a decision that was not rushed. Mr. McCray had a presentation. He talked to me about it several times. I then presented the proposal to the board and shared it with them. Our goal was to try to celebrate our students with as many people as we could as possible. If we go inside the building, 10 people, that's all you get, including all of the administrators. So all of the administrators are staff. If we do it outside like this, we can have staff participate. That's been approved by public health. Staff can participate and just be outside cheering on the kids. And then parents can have 2 carloads of family members, of friends. If you go in the building, all you have is 10 people. That's it. That's all you get, a 10 people max. So please understand, this is not a Trotwood-Madison call. This is not a Trotwood-Madison, a Mr. McCray, a Miss Moore, a Miss Freeman, a Mr. Howard, a Miss Scarce, a Miss Bozeman, a Mr. Andrews. This is not our decision. We are under the direct guidance of the Ohio Department of Education and Montgomery County Public Health under the Commissioner Jeff Cooper. And the last thing I'll say is Governor DeWine did come out in one of his prior press conferences, and he did say, you can have in-person graduations. Immediately that next day, he pulled that statement back and put it back on the plates of the local and county, the local health commissioners and the Ohio Department of Education, because he raised so many concerns with that statement. On May 1st, ODE and Dayton Montgomery County Public Health released a very, very direct statement of this is what you should do for graduations. And all we are doing is following that guidance. We're not trying to overlook the accomplishments of our students. We're not trying to forget about these kids. We're just trying to celebrate our students from the class of 2020 in the best way we know how. And that's all we're trying to do. And I know it's hard to understand. I know it's hard to ingest, but those are the facts. Every district in the county is trying to put something together similar to this. Some are doing it inside, but you can only have 10 people. Most are doing it outside, and they're not even allowing 2 cars. In Dayton Public Schools, if you just saw what they released, they pretty much got theirs from ours, and I'm not from what we sent, because they were waiting to see what other folks were doing. So I say that to say I understand. We all understand. It's a rough time. We are all going through it, but please understand that this is not a decision that was made in isolation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, I just want to add to what you said, Mr. Howard. Again, I graduated from Trotwood. Miss Bozeman graduated from Trotwood. We know Mr. Howard graduated from Trotwood. Mr. Andrews has sat through numerous amounts of graduations at Trotwood. We know that this is difficult. As a matter of fact, I was sharing with our graduation this past weekend. You're right, Mr. McCray. They asked us to send in a picture. And they flashed it, and that was it. Another thing is I work in healthcare, and being a part of healthcare and understanding what we're up against with this pandemic. Can we please, Mr. Scares, can you mute, please? Thank you. We understand that this is not to be taken lightly. I, more than you so, want to have the big graduation. The board has grappled with this. And again, pushing it back to June or July, and deep in the summer, what we open ourselves up to is uncertainty from day to day. And our kids might not get anything. I mean, nothing. And there are districts that are getting nothing. I had board members call me and say, we're just mailing the diplomas. That's all that we're doing. I want to be real clear on what this looks like, though, Mr. McCray, because I think that, again, this is a celebration. It truly is. I had parents that actually inboxed me and said, we are decorating the cars that are going to be coming. I mean, they're putting streamers on the cars. They're painting the windows. They're doing so many celebratory things for their student. In addition to that, they have noisemakers. They brought the hats. I mean, I've got parents saying, can we bring this? Can this happen? When your child's name is called to go across that stage, your car pulls up. Mr. McCray, you're going to have music out there as well, correct? Is there going to be some type of pomp and circumstances or?
We're going to have that. And we also going to announce their name when they get out the car, when they walk onto the stage. We try to make it similar, just like it would be at a regular graduation. We try to make it just like that as much as possible. The program for the virtual is similar to our regular graduation platform. We wanted to make it close as possible to what they're used to, what we have been doing in the past.
So very celebratory, very, very celebratory. I mean, we're talking all the bells and whistles for this, as much as we can pour on to this. And again, even giving the parents an opportunity to take pictures as their kids go across the stage and get their diploma. We, as a district, have a professional photographer. Am I correct, Mr. McCray? That will take the picture, an 8x10 of your student getting their diploma. And I didn't say diploma sleeve. I said diploma. And again, this is not something that we took lightly. And as the superintendent said, and working in healthcare, guys, when they open this thing up, they don't know what to anticipate, but there will be a spike. And we are preparing for it in our healthcare world. And when that happens, things are going to be much more under lock and key. But we have a unique opportunity because we have Dr. Reva Cosby on with us. And Dr. Cosby, I'd like you to say a few words. She's the new superintendent that's going to be starting next month. And she herself is dealing with this in her district. Because again, this is across the state. This is across the country. And not just in our lower academic, but in higher ed. Dr. Cosby, are you there?
Yes, thank you. I agree with everything that you all are saying. We are having to follow the advice, and it's really not advice, it's really guidance, and they're telling you that you had 3 options for doing graduation. We've chosen to do the exact same thing that Trotwood is doing in my district that I'm currently in Mount Healthy. And to be quite honest with you, Mr. McCray and his team have done some things for you all that I have been sending to my people, because our plan is the same drive-up plan, but we weren't using a stage. We were going to use a long table with a cloth. And so now we're going to put up a riser, because that is so special to get to walk up across that stage. So they're decorating the cars. I mean, there's so many things that to me, it's going to feel like your graduation. And once that video is put together, you're going to have the speeches. You're going to see the students walk across the stage. Those are going to be the memories. I just hope that the students realize that in 10 years, when they're 28 years old and they have kids, or they're doing whatever their careers are allowing them to do, they say they remember how special this was for them, and that your school did not say, we're not going to do anything for you. We're going to do as much as we can do. And that is what's happening here. And it's no doubt that the staff has done everything that they can think of, and they have done more than so many districts that I'm aware of. I'm very proud to say, that, like I said, I'm actually taking some of the ideas and carrying them with me. I'm just so excited for the students. I think they're going to be so much more excited than they can imagine to have this happen for them. everything that I've heard is the same thing we're hearing. I'm in Hamilton County. The health department has said the same thing. The governor's directive, of course, goes across the state. There were no other options. We had this option or less, or do virtual, or the very small, like I said, 10 people in a room. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Yeah, oh, you're so welcome. But again, like I said, we've noticed that there are quite a few comments in the chat, and we are going to consider those comments. There's some really good information that you guys are sharing with us along the lines of maybe a tweak here and a tweak there. And that is why we're here. We're here to be open, and as open as we can. Thank you so much, Dr. Cosby. We appreciate that and sharing what you as superintendents across the state are dealing with. I want to go ahead and move into our comments. Treasurer's comments?
I don't have any at this time.
All right. Okay, thank you. Mr. Howard, did you have any last words?
Just, again, I understand. I empathize. This is a situation, hopefully, we never have to go through again. And to the class of 2020, which is one of, if not one of the best classes, if not the best class we've had come through this district as far as some of their accomplishments.
Oh, yeah.
I wish I could apologize on behalf of Mother Nature and the virus, but I can't. And nobody can. This is something that is out of our control, and we have to make sure that we protect the safety of everybody. And I understand it's hard to depersonalize. It is, because it's a personal thing. Graduation is personal, but please understand that what we're doing is totally in line with what the directives have been given.
We have our student rep. Ryan, are you with us? Ryan is also the valedictorian this year, Ryan Allen. And she serves as a board representative to speak on behalf of the student body. So, hey, Luke, if she could raise, Ryan, if you could raise your hand, Luke can unmute you. And then we'll go from there. While we're waiting for, yes. Okay. Ryan, if you're the iPad user, we just unmuted you.
Okay, I'm here now.
Okay. Would you like to share some comments?
Actually, I would like to. I just want to say I actually enjoyed the distribution of the cap and gown. I like how it was set up, and I'm sure that the actual ceremony, drive-through ceremony for the diplomas will be the same way. I'm actually grateful for that one, and I think it's a pretty good idea versus some schools that aren't getting anything. But I agree with a lot of my class and the parents that I want to see my friends get their diploma. And that's the only unfortunate thing about the drive-through. But I was going to say more on the next call.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Ryan. We appreciate you. Board comments. Mr. Andrews?
Listen to everything and all of the concerns by the students and the parents. It's tough. And I really feel like I feel kind of helpless because I understand and I understand what they're thinking, and they got some great ideas. And I'm hoping that they understand, first of all, that we really did put a lot of care and consideration of what what's going on. We love you guys as much as your parents love you. All of you all are our babies, and some of you parents were my babies when you were in school. So it's a tough call. I really like the fact that you had a committee and you were organized and you came forward with some ideas and things in a very structured manner. And
I feel bad that we're our hands are kind of tied in what we can do and limited in what we can do. But I hope none of the students or parents go away thinking that we just kind of put something together and just kind of rushed it through because we didn't care. We do care, and we care a lot. And I'm hoping that what we are planning will go as well as is absolutely possible. And I still think, even though it may not be what everybody wants, I'm still thinking it's going to be something kind of uniquely Trotwood, and it's really going to show what we do and who we are.
Thank you, Mr. Andrews. Mr. Scaris?
Yes, thank you very much. I may be in the minority here. Everything that comes from the Ohio Department of Education, as well as the governor's office and public health, are not mandates. They are recommendations. And we get to decide which recommendations we feel is best for our particular community. From a personal standpoint, I would like to see the graduation wait. I would like to see something at the football field limited to immediate family. I would like for Trotwood to use this as an opportunity to be much more innovative. Not that we have not been innovative already, but to use this as an opportunity to stretch ourselves in a way that I don't think we have considered up until this point. So I am in favor with the vast majority of community and students who feel like they could wait until June. And waiting until June doesn't necessarily mean there aren't any more options at all. If for whatever reason we wait until June to possibly do a graduation at the football field, and it is not a possibility that it can happen, there's still a possibility that we could go back and do what we plan to do on this coming Saturday. So I realize that I probably am in the minority here, but that's okay. I'm used to standing alone. But I just don't agree with my counterparts and cohorts. I feel like there is much more that can be done, and I feel like there is much more that should be done on the behalf of the families, the communities, and students of Trotwood-Madison City Schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scaris. Appreciate your comments. Ms. Jeter Freeman. Is Ms. Jeter Freeman with us? Is she on mute? Okay, Luke, can you see her? Okay, so you do not see her. Okay, Vice President Bozeman?
Okay. I guess I would say that I feel like Mr. Andrews really pretty helpless right now, because I really do appreciate the passion that I hear from the parents and the students. But at the same time, I am still concerned about health and safety. And I am concerned about us waiting and the virus getting worse and us not having very many options. So I do feel pretty helpless. I'm hoping that the love and the sentiment behind what we're planning for the virtual graduation shows, and I think it will. I think that when you're there, you'll see the effort that's been put into it and the love that's been put into it, and maybe you'll see things differently, because it's not something that was taken lightly and it's not something that's been thrown together. We are thinking about our students, what's best, what we think is best for our students now, and what's best for the health of our students.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you so much for your comments. Ms. Jeter Freeman is with us. She had to switch to her iPhone. Ms. Jeter Freeman? And Luke, if you see iPhone, that's probably her. Okay. She just popped in on an iPhone. New turn in the federal Yes. Ms. Jeter Freeman, if you can raise your hand, we can unmute you. Looks like she's having some technical difficulties on her end. Okay, if you happen to see her pop in.
And it is not.
Hello, Vanessa? Okay. No, I guess she's not on with us. So in closing, I want to say this. We heard you. There are some great comments that were made in the message section and the comment section. We will take those under consideration. I mean, there were some comments that said, no, I know this is what we have to do. Can we, really big family, can we consider 3 cars? Can we consider something on the back end? What else is there? I mean, there are a lot of good comments. The board we are still discussing. In addition to that, however, the things that we have set in place, those things are going to be phenomenal. And those things are going to happen because they have to happen. Otherwise, we are somewhat playing Russian roulette with whether or not our kids get anything. And none of us would want that to happen. And that would be the biggest regret for the class of 2020. So again, the information's been great. Now, I do want to comment on something. There is, Ms. Campbell, I want to apologize. And as a district and on behalf of the board, this is new to us. This is new to everyone with this pandemic along the lines of how we go about things. When the initial shutdown came down from the school, it happened like this. It was quick. And I'm saying these things in regard to your comment about not being included. That is not something that was done intentionally or deliberately. I even spoke with the principal about how do we include the parents and how did we include the students, and he shares, we know regular graduations, but we don't know this. We don't know this virtual thing, and we didn't know what we were going to do, but we knew we needed to make a decision in order for our kids to have something. So that was, again, I'm apologizing for that step that was not there. But again, this is new and we needed to take some sort of action. Again, we're governed by collaboration and communication. And parents have never been a part of that discussion, but they should be. So it's a new eye opener for us, and it's a new norm for us. And again, we apologize for that step. And this is why we wanted also to have an opportunity for your voice to be heard, because we missed that. And we admit to that. So given that, again, moving forward, the district is going to live and die by these 6 goals that we have, which is collaboration and bringing parents and students to the table, especially when it is in reference to them. I know that Ms. Jeter Freeman's here. Please, if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Okay, go right ahead.
I just wanted to real quickly first congratulate our board student representative, Ryan Allen, and as the valedictorian, and also for the students that spoke. I like nothing more than having our students speak out for what they believe in. And I have enjoyed watching them and their successes during the years. And also, this is a different time. And that's what I think we've all agreed to. But I want us to think about for a moment, what Mr. McCray as the principal has agreed to do. With all of those deaths due to COVID-19, there are people that have family that have been impacted. And they've been impacted because of contact that people thought, I'm just going through the day and this is okay. But for Mr. McCray to agree to stand, and even though he'll have on a mask, he'll be shaking hands with over 200 students and probably hugging and, other things probably shouldn't do. So, and also, if you know Mr. McCray, each of those high school students, he's like that father figure. And I know that he and his staff put as much attention to this graduation as if it was for his own child. So I am sorry that we have to go this way. I also sit on CTC's board, and it is also a virtual graduation with the students taking a photo and sending it in. So I do appreciate the efforts that's been put in, and I also sympathize with all of our students and parents. But I would ask that we enjoy and try and celebrate as much as we can with what has been planned with your families. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate that. Given our time, I do need a motion to go into executive session. And we will discuss details relative to security arrangements and emergency response protocols for a public body or a public office per ORC 12122 G6. Official action may be taken, and that virtual meeting will start immediately after this particular meeting. And that meeting is a closed meeting for the board and representatives only. So do have a motion on the floor.
So moved.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions? Being none, Ms. Allen, will you call the roll?
Mr. Scares?
He's muted.
Mr. Okay.
You are unmuted.
Yes.
Mrs. Bozeman?
Yes.
Mr. Andrews?
Yes.
Mrs. Jeter Freeman?
Yes.
And Ms. Moore?
Yes, motion passes. We will enter into executive session for the discussion. It's 6:50 p.m. and we'll go from there. Lastly, thank you all for being here. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for your input. Thank you for the comments. Those are all things that will be in consideration for the board. We are doing our very best. Trust me, trust and believe. Mr. Scaris, thank you for your comments because, again, we are turning over every stone and we are looking at all ways to be as creative as we can in a safe environment for everyone. So again, thank you so much. And that now ends our special meeting. We'll be in touch.